friends. Oh, it is good to be at a party with purpose, and I am here with purpose. Our purpose is to take back the White House in 2020. We must win, but winning is not enough. When we win, we must make real change in this country. And yeah, I got a plan for that. Now, I was born and raised in Oklahoma. I'm the baby. I got 3 older brothers, still referred to as the boys. I was one of those late in life babies. My mother always just called me the surprise. I grew up in a paycheck to paycheck family, and sometimes we didn't have all of the paychecks. But I had a dream. I had a dream from the time I was in 2nd grade. I've known what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a public school teacher. Can we hear it for America's public school teachers? I used to line my dollies up and teach school. I was tough but fair. But by the time I graduated from high school, we didn't have the money for a college application, much less to send me off to 4 years of college. So like a lot of folks, I have a kind of twisty-turny story. Got a scholarship to college, dropped out at 19 to get married, thought I'd lost it all, and then I found my chance. It was a commuter college that cost $50 a semester. And for a price I could pay for with a part-time waitressing job, I got a chance to finish my 4-year diploma. I became a special needs teacher. I have lived my dream job. Now, I tell you, I love that work. That's work from the heart. And I probably would still be doing it, except there's another twist in the story. By the time I graduated, by the time I finished my 1st year, I was visibly pregnant. And the principal did what principals did back in those days. He wished me luck, and he hired someone else for the job. So there I am. I'm at home with a little baby. I can't get a job. And I decide I'll go to law school. I found a public law school. It cost $450 a semester. Baby on hip, I headed off to law school. 3 years later, I graduated, visibly pregnant. You will discover a pattern to these stories. And practiced law for maybe 45 minutes. And then went back to my first love, teaching. I traded teaching little ones for teaching big ones, and taught in law school. Now, I got my first full-time teaching job, tenure track, at the University of Houston, and I loved that work. A chance to be able to see kids figure out power in law. And I still have 2 little kids, so it's lots of hard work. It's nights when dinner's on the table late, when I'm doing baths, when I'm doing laundry at 11 o'clock, and starting my lesson plans at midnight. But here's the deal. I could do hard. What I couldn't do was childcare. In the first few months, we went through all of it. So I started out with a babysitter who one day just didn't show up, moved over to a child care center that then moved, back to a babysitter who flaked out, then another child care center that smelled bad, then another child care center where my son Alex cried every single day, all day long. So it's the spring of my first year in teaching. And during that spring, my Aunt Bee called me. She's 78 years old. She's a widow, and she just called from Oklahoma City to say, "How you doing, baby?" And I said, "You all know this answer, fine." And then I said, "I'm gonna quit," because I couldn't manage it. I couldn't cover the child care and everything else I was trying to do. I started to cry. I boo-hooed and boo-hooed. And Aunt B, God bless her, she hung in there until I finished, and she said, well, I can't get there tomorrow, but I can come on Thursday. And she arrived with 7 suitcases, a Pekingese named Buddy, and stayed for 16 years. I'm on this stage today because of my Aunt B. And here's the deal. If everybody had an Aunt B, we'd all be good. But most of us don't. And I look back and think, how many women of my generation were just knocked off the tracks because of childcare? How many women of my daughter's generation were knocked off the tracks? Shoot, how many women and how many men today just get knocked off the tracks? Because childcare today is harder than it was 2 generations ago. And so I'm running for President of the United States, and yeah, I got a lot of plans. Because you want to get something done, you better have a plan to do it. So here's the deal for me. It's all about, like Ashley said, it's about opportunity and who opportunity goes to in this country. We've got a country that's working great, fabulously, for a thinner and thinner slice at the top. I am in this fight because I want to make this country work for everyone else. Let me just tell you one fact about opportunity in America right now. For every $100 that the average white man, single white man in America has today, the average single black woman has $1. 100 to 1. That is not an America where opportunity is open to all. So I have plans, real concrete plans to make our government reckon with the legacy of racism and discrimination that has systematically disempowered black families and black women for generations. Let me tell you about just a couple of those plans. I got a lot of them, but let me tell you a few. And that is, let's start with a wealth tax in America. You bet. 2 cents on the top 0.1% of fortunes in this country. Your 50 millionth and first dollar, you got to pitch in 2 cents and 2 cents on every dollar after that. And you know what we could do in America with 2 cents? Well, you know where I'm going to start this. We could start by providing universal child care to every baby age 0 to 5 in this country. We could provide universal pre-K for every 3-year-old and 4-year-old in this country. We could raise the wages of every child care worker and preschool teacher in this country. And with that same 2 cents, we could do more. We could provide tuition-free technical school, community college, and 4-year college to every one of our kids who wants an education. Oh, and there's more. We could also level the playing field, and that means a $50 billion investment into historically black colleges and universities. And just one more I want to mention, all out of that same 2 cents. We could cancel student loan debt for 95% of the kids who've got it. We can start to close that black-white wealth gap. And it's not just that. I have a housing plan to build 3.2 million new housing units in this country and to address the generational impact of redlining that our government used to discriminate against black citizens. I have a plan to deal with the maternal health crisis in this country, that black women are dying at 3 and 4 times the rate of white women. It's time for some accountability in this system. And I have a plan to value the work of black women. 70% of black mothers are the primary wage earners in their families, but they earn only 61 cents on the dollar for what white men earn. So what I've decided is no more vague talk about this. On day one, my plan is to use the power of the federal government on $500 billion of government contracts to make sure that every government contractor in this country doesn't just talk the talk, but walks the walk on equal pay for equal work and a truly diverse workforce that looks like America. So those are just some of the plans. Yeah, I talk about plans all day long. But you know, a lot of folks say to me, it's just too hard. You're trying to do too much. And I think about, what do you think they said to the abolitionists? Just too hard. Quit now. What did they say to the suffragettes? Too hard. You won't get this done. Quit now. What did they say to the early union organizers? Just quit now. What did they say to the foot soldiers in the civil rights movement? Quit now. What did they say to the LGBTQ activists who wanted equal marriage? Never happened. Quit now. But they didn't quit. They got organized. They built a grassroots movement. They persisted, and they changed the course of American history. This is our chance to change the course of American history. This is our chance to get organized, to build a grassroots movement, to persist. And if you believe that change is possible, that we have the power, then pick up your phones and text POWER to 24477. Get in the fight. Donate $5, volunteer an hour, but most of all, be in this fight. This is our time to dream big, to fight hard, and to win. We gotta do this. Thank you. Thank you.
What you want, baby, I got it.
Senator Elizabeth Warren.
You know I got it. All I'm asking is for
Senator Warren, you have laid out, and I might say from day one, specific policies addressing what is needed and how you were going to pay for it. And you have not shied away at all. In fact, you've aggressively addressed the race gap, particularly black women. This is the largest gathering of black women in the world, and the Essence Festival. What you are specifically saying to them is this 61 cents on every $1 white men get, you would close the gap with dealing with the wealth tax.
Yeah, no, we got two parts. We close the gap, start to close it on the very first day by using the power that the president herself will have. And here's how it works. We got $500 billion every year that the federal government does in federal contracts. And it's up to the federal government to say what the terms of those contracts are. And I'm saying on the first day, I'm going to say to every one of those federal contractors, we're just going to sign an executive order. It's not enough to talk the talk about equal pay for equal work. It's not enough to talk the talk about the diversity of your workforce. You got to walk the walk, or you're not getting those federal contracts.
What about how do we guarantee access to capital to young black women or men that have been denied business loans, denied opportunities, that want to be entrepreneurs and that want to build businesses?
So I got a plan for that, Reverend.
I thought you might.
So here it is. We have a black-white entrepreneurship gap in America. And that is that right now, it's about twice as easy for someone who's white to launch a small business successfully than it is for someone who's black. And the principal reason for that is not that people don't have good ideas. It's not that they don't work hard. It's access to capital, that original investment. And this is not about just loans. Small businesses don't need more loans. Man, that's rocks in your pocket. That's money you got to pay back. This is about capital. And in an America where the principal way of building wealth was home ownership, we're still feeling the effects of redlining in the black-white wealth gap. And it shows up to create an entrepreneurship gap. So here's my plan. Out of that 2-cent wealth tax, I've also reserved $7 billion, which is what we need to make the investments in black-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, close that entrepreneurship gap, and level the playing field for everyone.
Essence Magazine and Communications, through their dealing with the technological revolution, has surveyed a lot of its online readers and actual readers, print readers, about 25,000 a day on the issues that matter to them. The CEO of Essence is going to raise some of the issues that were most compelling to the readers.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. Senator Warren, thank you again for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's so good to be here.
Yes, Essence has served our community of black women for 5 decades. And we have a poll where we speak to 25,000 women about issues that are on their mind, many of which you talked about today, that are very important in everyday lives for black women who are underpaid, underserved, undercounted. Now, when you talk about, Senator, this wealth tax, black women vote for you. How can you assure us that that wealth tax will get passed and these monies will come to this community of women who deserve it tremendously?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. So let me start with the wealth tax. You know, keep in mind, this is a tax on the top 0.1%. And the support for it is not just Democrats, it's not just independents. When you get outside Washington, it's also a majority of Republicans who know that this economy isn't working right. When the top 0.1% not only has so much, but keeps getting more and more. So I'm starting with something that's popular across political parties. So here's my plan, is that I'm gonna run on this. I'm gonna talk about this every single day I'm out there. Building a grassroots movement is not just about trying to get elected in 2020. It's about building the movement for change come January 2021. And we're gonna start with that wealth tax and link it to what we can pay for with it. Because again, there's support across the aisle. When we talk about universal child care, when we talk about universal pre-K for all of our kids, and when we talk about canceling that student loan debt, boy, people forget which party they belong to. They want to be part of that.
But Senator, it hasn't happened. If there's support across the aisle, it hasn't happened.
There's nobody in the White House fighting for it, but that's going to change come 2020.
Rich Lou Dennis, who is our economic czar that you can't take from us if you get in.
Senator Warren, it's encouraging to hear the thinking around how we level the playing field, how we close the wealth gap. And I think also, I think it's working now, and I think also the intentionality with which you're approaching it. The question that I have around that, what are some of the things that you're going to do or steps that you're going to take to make sure that we as a community are participating in this leveling of the playing field, in this way that you plan to drive the wealth tax back into the community? How do we include the community as part of that movement?
Oh, that's exactly the right question. And I'll start by saying I'm walking that walk today. When I built these policy proposals, I didn't do this by myself. I did it by having a big, diverse staff that are my staff who work with me, but also reaching out to as many groups as humanly possible, because I want to hear how it works on the ground. This is a big part of why I'm running for president. You know, I just want to say on this, it's an amazing opportunity to be able to run for president. It's just stunning. But I made the decision when I first said I'm going to get in this race. I was not going to spend my time with a bunch of millionaires. I was not going to spend my time with a bunch of corporate CEOs. That I was going to build my campaign from the grassroots. So it's been the case that I haven't done any closed-door fundraisers. I haven't been out there selling access to my time to the richest people. I've been on the ground. I've done 105 town halls. I've been in 23 states plus Puerto Rico. You bet. We're way past 35,000 selfies now. There's the key. But what it does is it keeps me having a chance to hear from everybody, a chance to have somebody walk up, they get in a selfie line and say, here's what matters to me. Am I in your plan? Here's what I care about. I have people who walk up to me and say, hold out their hands, this is $641. That's how much I spend every month on student loans. I had someone come up to me at a town hall and say, you know, I got an idea for you. How about if you promise that when you're president, you will name a Secretary of Education who's been a public school teacher? So it's how I stay grounded now, how I am able to hear and try to reflect it in the plans. I'm trying to get this right, but it's also the commitment when I'm president. My administration will look like America. We're going to raise the voices of all the people who haven't been heard. That's my job.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's extremely important that we remember to include the people that we're fighting for in the fight. So thank you.
Yeah.
Senator Elizabeth Warren.